this will just give us an idea of who is in the room. Quick and efficient. Thank you, everybody. It looks like a lot of folks in the audience are local food supporters, which is great. We have some market coordinators and some growers, crafters in the room. So thank you very much. That helps us with future planning. Next, I would like to introduce our presenter today. Brian Moyer is an educational program associate with Penn State Extension. His area of expertise is in direct-to-consumer marketing, poultry and meat regulations, and farmers markets. Brian has a wealth of personal experience in the world of agriculture, and I'm so excited to hear what he has to share with us today. Take it away, Brian.
Thank you, Alex. Thanks for the intro there. And good morning, everybody, or good afternoon. I'll get my screen share here. And so I was, Alex had asked me, if I could do a presentation on, that would help growers and markets with their promotion. And promotion is part of a greater marketing plan. So we would definitely talk about how you do promotions of your business, but in the context of a larger marketing plan. When you start direct-to-consumer sales, is to capture all that food dollar as much as you can. But with that, it has a cost, and that is mostly your time. And it's generally the estimate of your time spent in marketing would be, especially if you're doing direct-to-consumer marketing, it's going to be 30% of all that you do for your business. So it's considerable. So it's really good to be, as much as we have, we create plans for our crops, we need to create a plan on how we're marketing those crops. And particularly once those crops are harvested, I'd like to say that your farming hat comes off and your marketing hat comes on. The minute that it's harvested, or the minute that when that meat comes back from the butcher that you're going to sell at market. I wanted to share something with you. This is a letter that came out of this desk that I'm sitting at, which is my great-grandfather's desk, who is Warren Bean. You see at the top of the letterhead there. He was, besides being the Mennonite bishop in southeastern PA, he was also a farmer. In his farming diaries always said, Friday made ready for market, Saturday in market is all he would have for Saturdays. And the market was in Norristown, just 30 miles outside of Philadelphia. And on top of that, they found ways to kind of stand out from the other competition at the market in that they would do drop off produce or whatever people had ordered from them at the market, would drop it off at their house, probably to and from market. And here's a couple of sisters who were, I'm thinking they were school teachers in Norristown. They lived in New Jersey, but they probably would stay at a house in Norristown during the school year. And then so you can see from this letter, we found our box of corn at the house when we came home from school this afternoon. We sampled it for supper, and it was fine. The lady downstairs had never tasted any, and so we gave her some, and they liked it very much. We always paid extra at Norristown to have the corn shipped to us. And so what is over the amount of your bill, kindly accept for your trouble. So not only did they pay extra to have it delivered, they also gave them a tip as well. And to me, it's just kind of a nice example of one, direct-to-consumer sales is nothing new. It's how I think most people used to buy their food 100 years ago. This was from 1912. And then, but also looking for those opportunities, how they looked for those opportunities to to do something different, to excite the customer, keep the customer that was willing to pay a little extra for something there. So marketing, this is the definition out of the dictionary, the total activities involved in transfer of goods from the producer or seller to the consumer or buyer, including advertising, shipping, storing, selling. So outside of, like I said, once you harvest, everything is marketing from that point on. And so a marketing plan outlines basically these principles. We need to have some marketing goals. And you say, well, my goal is to make more money. I want to sell more stuff so I can make more money. That can be a goal. It can also be, maybe you're at the farmer's market, but ultimately you'd like to drive business to your farm. That's a goal. And we need a strategy on how we're going to do our marketing, and then how we're going to implement it, and whose roles and responsibilities within our organization is going to help us with this. It's the marketing basics, and maybe you've heard this before, but it's something called the 4 Ps of marketing: product, place, price, and promotion. What is the product we're bringing to the market? What is the market for the place? At what price point? And how are we going to let people know that we have it? So to do that, we need to know who our target market is, who our customer is. What are we marketing? Are we just marketing food that we harvest? I would argue you're probably going to be marketing yourselves, marketing your business, your story. And how do our services and products match the needs of the customer? Because ultimately, good marketing and a good marketing plan solves problems for customers. And how will our customer know we have what they need and what they want? Here again, how are we going to let them know that we have it, that it's out there? How are we going to get that promotion? And this is some work, and I'm sorry that this is difficult to read, but I'll explain. This is from a company called the Hartman Group, and the Hartman Group studies consumer behavior for the retail industry, particularly around food purchasing and diets. And they put out these great infographics. They put out also very expensive reports that you can imagine, like the grocery industry buys. And but basically then they put out these free infographics based upon the research that they do. And this looks at a customer base that particularly who make purchases based upon organic or sustainable production models, and how they purchase in that. And you can see you have a core, which is 13%. Now the core are those folks that are foodies. They're the most interested in it as a lifestyle. They are interested in how it's packaged and how it's recycled. The mid-level ones, which you can see make up the most at 60% of the consumer base, are interested in the same things, but they like a little more convenience. You know, they don't go necessarily search it out as much as they want it presented to them in front of them. And periphery, yeah, we'll do it if it's comparable to anything else I buy. And then so around that, in researching this group, this is the kind of language that they came up with. That's important. These are basically the value systems that's important to these various groups. So you can see for the core group, transparency, purchasing local is very important. And that of course goes into the mid-level folks as well. Authenticity, you're not trying to sneak something by me. I want to see that it is what you say it is, serves a greater good. And then when we get down to the lower right-hand corner and you see price, convenience, comparability, that becomes more the folks on the periphery. And that also, you know, when I think in terms of using these terminologies, and the reason why this is good, because depending on the group you're trying to reach in your promotions, you want to use the language that they use and that they look for. Basically, it's agriculture. We're a subculture. We basically have, in the largest extent, have our own language and place that we place in our own value systems. But this is what the customer bases you're trying to reach. Think about. So I think of the price, convenience, comparability as more box store type of languages that you see if you're in a box store. And then maybe we can also think about farmers markets and CSAs as the language we're seeing to the more in the upper left. So let's talk a minute for how we identify those customers, because that's got to be part of our plan, is knowing who our customer base is or is going to be, or we want it to be. And so we need to know the demographic of the folks we're trying to target. So if we are trying to target that core group, we want to know, or more of the mid-level group, because there's a lot more of them. But what is the demographic of the folks who might be interested in the products we're bringing to market? What's their gender? What's their age? What do we think their income level is at? An occupation, so on and so forth. And just to give you an example, I've done a number of market assessments for farmers markets. So just from I know from data I've collected, and also know this from a national level too, is that the demographic of folks shopping at a farmers market are majority female, overwhelmingly 50 and older. Income level, it could is still middle class, upper middle class. So it can be blue collar, it can be white collar. Location, most overwhelmingly, people shopping at a farmer's market are within 5 miles of that market. And they may have children, but they're not at home anymore. The children are grown, either off to college or they're out on their own, and generally a college education. So that gives me a picture of, if I'm trying to thinking about doing a farmer's market, do I have the products that I think this demographic would be interested in? And then we want to think about what's the psychographic of those groups, the where, when, why, and how. Where do they shop? When do they like to shop? What motivates them to come to a market or to your farm? And do they like to purchase in person, or do they rather purchase online, which we can think, I'll touch on as a whole other demographic of that we have attracted during the COVID crisis. And what will the customer expect from our product? What problem, here again, what problem are we solving with bringing our product to market that's going to help the customer appreciate what we're bringing? And so with that, I'd like to think, I like this screenshot I took of this website, because I think it gets at those expectations of a particular customer base that they are trying to reach. That banner at the top of the nice green field with the round bales in it is the expectation of this particular customer, is that's the life your livestock leads. And this is what I get because of that, is this, and in the foreground, the gourmet steak dinner. So that answers a question, for me as a consumer, wow, I'm going to get that product from them, and that these animals had that life that meets my value system. And it also gives me my food expectations in that. You don't see, outside of the logo, which has the silhouette of the animals, you don't see pictures of animals. So thinking about, what your customers' expectations are, not necessarily, yeah, we want to educate our customers, that's important. And they do a little bit of that there, where they're located. But you think about the first thing you see when you see this website, what animals they raise on, 100 acres of lush pasture. So the customer wants to know more, they can learn more. But think about that the majority of customers are just looking for an experience. Right. My personal experience, because everybody's done, especially if you're doing pasture-based livestock, that you can get on a tangent at a market and say, this is how we treat our animals, and that and that. And a lady was a regular customer, right? Said, Brian, we just buy your chickens because it tastes so good. They didn't really care about, all the value system that I had into it, but and then it was dawning on me that there's a small percentage of your customer base that's going to be that core, that 13%. And it also rings true in something else you may have heard, in the fact that there's 10% of your customers can drive 90% of your business. There is that core customer base, but mostly we're just trying to give quality products to people who can appreciate. So with that, you need to develop a brand, right? We can see, we're familiar with all these brands here we see on the left, for most of our lives. But a brand is much more than a logo, because behind a brand, there's also a value statement of what your business stands for. What are your value systems behind that? It doesn't have to be a long paragraph. It should be a sentence or two at the most of why you do what you do and maybe who you're doing it for. Because within that, so we need to think of a logo that maybe also reflects the same value system that we have. And also, is there somebody within our organization that can help with that, or do we need somebody from outside with maybe more experience in creating these things? It doesn't have to be that sophisticated, but it helps. And then it also needs to be on everything that you put out that's outward facing to the public. It needs to be on everything. Then that value statement, like I said, should contain the elements of the 4 Ps: the product, place, price, and promotion. What are we bringing to the market? What problems are we solving for the customer? We're bringing nutrient dense produce to nourish our community. Something as simple as that. And what are the customer benefits from using their value system language again? It's that authenticity, that transparency of what we do, that maybe you attract more of those core customers and those mid-level customers. And so with that, we've gotten a new customer base, and that's why I wanted to just show. I have like 2 slides here from this survey that was done by at this website here, local food system covid.localfoodeconomics.com. There's been from the set by the USDA, and it's been a kind of gathering and clearinghouse of what's happened in local food systems during COVID. So it's land grant universities. It was Penn State was part of this, and then various organizations around local food. You can think of the Wallace Center, Farmers Market Coalition, NAFMA, all did reports about how the particular sector of the local food system fared. And within that, they did a sample of consumers. And the sample size here you can see was 5,000 respondents, conducted over the fall of 2020. And it captures behavior in 3 time periods, from September 19 to April 2020, and then again September 2020. And to understand the changes in U.S. Consumer food behavior. And this is critical to know, because this next slide shows that of those folks, and see in April 2020, 1,500 of those respondents were new markets. They were new customers to these market outlets here on the graph. And how many stayed in September 2020. So you see 1/3 of the folks who said that they were new, this was a new market for them to shop at, stayed. So we need to understand why. What is it that they're purchasing? Who are they? And my guess is, and actually anecdotally from what I hear from markets, is that these were families. These were younger families, and younger families have not been shopping at farmers markets because, one, it's not terribly convenient. A lot of markets are over a weekend. They've got other things to do on a weekend. But there was 2 things that we think happened. We built in a level of convenience. A lot of markets early in the pandemic and vendors had to develop some kind of online presence to be able to sell products over the internet. They may come to the market to pick it up, but there was that grab and go feature that I think was attractive to a lot. It was also a feeling of safety and very short supply chains. As any of you know on this call, we probably didn't see a big disruption in our local food system supply chains as much as we saw in the larger food system. And so it's forced a lot of us to have to create an online store, and they had to do it without little knowledge or any background in it. Or if you did have an online presence, you had to ramp it up, step it up a notch. And so some things to consider with creating, an online store. There's many organizations, I'll say, or businesses that are specialize in this. Local food marketplace, local line, and a whole bunch of others. So there's plenty to see. And if you actually go to the Young Farmers Coalition, they have a ranking sheet there on the various ones. Or basically, it's not so much a ranking. I think they can tell you what it costs, and some of the basics about them, so you can make some kind of informed decision. But I also have a link that I'll share here that I have a colleague, Sarah Cornelis, who has done a lot of work on this and has several articles on it that you can make some comparisons, or at least get an idea of what features you need and want. And the reason I call it an online store rather than say an online presence, because it is another market channel. So if you have various market channels, say as a farmer's market and maybe an on-farm market, and maybe you have a CSA, but if you're creating an online ordering system, you have to think about the customer experience. You want to have the same customer or experience that the customer has shopping in person with you. And that can be a challenge. For instance, I know a one farm market near me here, I'm in Southeastern PA, said that setting up the online for their farm market was literally a push of a button. They could link their point of sale system with their website, and boom, it was there. What was not there, because the point of sale system doesn't have it, was very good descriptions of products, because it doesn't need it. But your customer needs it. Now, if we're showing that to the customer needs to know what the products are, what size the amount is, what farm does it come from. So they need really good descriptors, and you need good photographs, which is can be a challenge. Not everybody takes. There's a lot of bad photos of food on in social media of people taking pictures of food, because there is kind of an art to it. But some people can do it really well, and if you can identify somebody with an organization, you can take really good pictures of food. Let's do that. And also, maybe if this is going to be a part of your business, it might be worth hiring a professional to do it, because you're only going to do it once for the most part. So you need to have some really good pictures, because those pictures will stay. And the advantage too of an online store, like I said, can expand your customer base, because it may be attracting those other folks who otherwise were not shopping with us, just because we built in that level of that convenience factor, that they can order, they can show up and pick it up, and they can be on their way. And some of the data that's coming in now, especially from the grocery industry, everybody thought home delivery was going to be the most important thing to customers. Turns out it's not. Customer actually prefers to go. I mean, there's still a lot of home delivery. We see it going on. I got a package just before this, but the customers, by large part, like to come and pick it up. I mean, if you're just putting it in the trunk for them, they feel more in control of the process, and also allows them to buy some ancillary things that maybe they forgot to order online. And the other thing is that you can collect data, right? With every website, there's analytics that you can apply to this, so you can see what parts of your website people are looking at the most, how long they're staying there. And if you can see up top here is the link to Sarah's document on this. And that could be really useful in helping you make some decisions about what your online presence looks like. And but there's some challenges, right? Everything that has a plus and a minus, and the challenges is that compatibility. Just as this picture shows, you want it to have it look the same on the mobile device, maybe even better than it looks on the laptop, because here again, there's data that shows that most of the ordering is going on from mobile devices, not from a desktop computer. And then how are we getting it to them? Are we doing a delivery system? Can we afford to do a delivery system? Can we ship it? Can all our items we produce be shipped, or maybe not at all? And or can the customer come pick it up, which is as I said is been a popular method. So we need to choose our market channels pretty carefully, because we need to know roles and responsibilities within our farm or organization. Who is good at what skill sets are people bringing, and what's their personality traits. So I'm thinking, like, in a farmer's market, if you're personable and you like talking with people, you probably would do well at a farmer's market. But maybe somebody who is more introverted, not, but maybe they have great computer skills, might be really good at managing the online marketplace for us, because that will take somebody to manage that on a daily basis. So things are up to date, quantities are up to date. If somebody orders it and it says online that it's there, it should be there. And if not, what's our process for being able to connect with that customer and give them options? And then, like I said, so everybody's personality is different, and they're going to have different skill sets, but they can all ultimately benefit. I like to think about all this online things and all these different marketing things that we're doing is kind of a bit like directing traffic. I'm going to shut my video off just because I just got a message that the internet is unstable, so that should help it. So the website, I think, is the main thing you want to get people to for any kind of information they want about your business. Everything else can be more of a conversation base, or should direct people to the website. You're doing Facebook, Twitter posts, Instagram posts, and ultimately, hey, we're just harvesting the first of the peaches for the season is here. Something that you really want to let people know. And then see our website for more details, how you can get these peaches, because maybe, or we're going to be at such and such a market on Saturday. You're giving somebody, it's a conversation. You're telling somebody a bit of information, and then you're requesting them to take action. That's what that's really good for. The website is not good for that, right? Because it's not immediate, it's more of a permanent structure. But those details about our product, place, price, and promotion should be on our website. And let's see, not advancing here. I may have to. There we go. Okay, sorry about that. So the website, I think of three basic things, 3 B's if you want: basic info, background info, and bummer issues, which I'll tell you what I mean by that. But you can see the screenshot from this farm's website. Some of the basic info is right there, right? It's our story. Somebody can click on that and know. Also, that's the background info. That is our story. How long have they been farming? Is it a family operation? Pictures of them so you can see who they are. And then you see they have a CSA. Yes, they're at farmers markets. There's testimonials from their customer base, and they do some wholesale. So right from the screenshot, you get a sense of what their business is about. And that's a bit of the basic info, right? We can see how they join the CSA. Are they at farmers markets near me that I can visit them? Can I purchase at the farm? Maybe I can do that. And so we can also think about basic info, like things that people really want to know. If you're doing a CSA, what is the cost and length of a share? How many weeks is it? Where do I pick up my share? What does it typically include? What's my responsibilities as a member or a shareholder? And are there any partnering farms maybe that you're working with to bring other products to offer within my share? Bummer issues, what happens when things can and do go wrong? What happens if I can't pick up my share this week? Do I just lose it? What happens if there is a crop loss? Do we just not get a share that week? Or, these critical things that's going to head off potential issues for people, that they know you have a plan, that you thought about this and have considerations for it. And in social media, just to touch on a few issues with that, whatever you're posting, like say, let's go back to the peaches example again. If you have, say we're harvesting the first peaches of the season, and you can get them at market this week, and hashtag the markets that you're at. So it also helps promote those markets, so those markets see it, and then also cross promote the fact that you're bringing peaches. And what do you want people to know, and be consistent about it. Also, we see very often both markets and vendors do this, is they post the day of market, which isn't really useful to attract people to the market. 2 days before the market, say, hey, we're going to be at the market with peaches on Saturday. We'll see you there. So you get people an advance warning, that something's going on this weekend. But doing it while you're at market doesn't show that it brings people out. But whatever you're doing from your social media and your website, all of your marketing needs to be consistent. And to help you with that, you can create something like a marketing calendar. And I like this because then it seems less overwhelming. We can take all these things we talked about, social media, email, maybe an email list. In this particular case, this was one I created for PA farm markets when we were trying to promote membership to PA farm markets. And so we have we have a Facebook page, we have an Instagram page, and it was saying, all right, this is where we're going to post stuff about PA farm markets. How often are we going to do it? That's quantity. What's the content we want to do? Because it's all going to be different content, right? And what's the task? And you can see, like, create 1 week's worth of posts and then schedule the posts. So I'm doing it one day. I don't have to think, oh, it's Wednesday, I'm supposed to post on. No, if we set if Monday's the slowest, say, portion of your farm day, maybe you could take the time then to set this all up so it all happens rather automatically. We could do that with the email newsletter because we were setting it up in MailChimp, and then you can schedule that to go out. The listserv, I could do that as well. Also from MailChimp, it posts the links to the newsletter on all my social media automatically. So I have posts there as well. And then of course we had tabling at conferences and what that was going to look like, and also advertising in the Pennsylvania Vegetable Growers Association newsletter. So it's a schedule. You can set this up in advance, and then it can be feel pretty automatic. And then on the right hand side, lead, who's responsible for it, who's going to do these things. Maybe it's one person, maybe it's a couple of people. And notes, so we can maybe see what the results are on that. You do get analytics back on these email services, and you can see how many people opened your newsletter and what did they actually click on. So you get you got a way of measuring what your efforts are, so you can decide whether you're going to do it or not. I see so much marketing is done because that's just what we've always done, but we really don't know that it works. I'll give you another example. We have here, I imagine there's versions of this everywhere, called the Merchandiser. And it's a very local free paper that basically people put in stuff for sale, and services, contractors and such like that. I invariably see somebody looking to sell freezer beef in this thing. Is that really going to find, or it's a broad net. It costs you a bit of money to do it. But is that really where your customer base is? If we go back to identifying who our customers are your freezer beef folks in the looking at the Merchandiser? Maybe yes, maybe no, but you don't have a way of measuring, but that's how we've always done it. Okay. It's a reason that, but also thinking about like I said in the beginning, everything you do has to be a part of your marketing tools. So your labels on your products, We're going back to that branding and our value statements, our cards, your business cards, even our invoices. If you're doing some wholesale and you're creating invoices for restaurants, your logo and everything needs to be on it. And are you having any certifications? Maybe you're certified organic or certified naturally grown, or affiliations. You're members of certain organizations like PASA or Farm Bureau. All these things give a level of credibility to what you do. And it really helps reassure the customer when they see those things. So that's what I wanted to share with you today on marketing and marketing plans. And I'm happy to talk about any questions that anybody may have on this. So keeping in mind here again, just to recap, that you have 30% of your time in direct-to-consumer sales is going to be spent on marketing. So having a simple plan, it doesn't have to be complicated, and for creating those calendars, you actually literally just Google marketing calendar template, and there's tons of them come up. You can just download a blank template and fill it out. You don't have to create one from scratch. So I hope these things help your markets, and hopefully everybody has a very successful 2021 season, as we're looking forward to spring here.
Thanks, Brian. That was a lot of great information, and thank you for that summary there at the end. Just a reminder, if anybody has any questions, please go ahead and you can either use the raise hand feature, or you could type your questions in the Q&A box. We do have a couple questions that we received. One question is, keeping in mind, I like what you said about 10% of your customers drive 90% of your business. So keeping that in mind, how could a farmer's market or a farmer promote food access for low-income household while balancing profit and sustainability? I know it's hard to reach multiple populations at once with marketing. So do you have any tips related to that?
It is a challenge, largely because it's been very hard for individual vendors to be able to accept SNAP benefits. I'm optimistic that that's getting easier in the future, as I know. Actually, I was just reading an article yesterday how furiously USDA FNS has been working, trying to get even smaller retailers to be able to take SNAP benefits, and particularly online orders, which they currently can't, except for the pilot programs, which big box stores are part of. But apparently it's a matter of trying to go with that. What they said was going 0 to 100 rather quickly, and they don't have the capacity to do it. All this is to say is that there is a program called Market Link that has free equipment and is a card reader for smartphones. And so that make me optimistic that individual farms then could be able to take it. A lot do the farmers market nutrition program and the checks that they accept. But yeah, it's just got to get simpler for them to be able to do. And maybe it's partnering with other organizations, Alex. You think, like if you're listening, say, hey, our farm now is able to accept SNAP and the farmers market nutrition, where are the organizations? Who are the organizations that would like to know that, so they can direct the people that they serve to your business?
Yeah, that's a great point. We do have a hand, Rosa. Let me see here.
And I put my email address in the chat in case anybody wanted to reach out later for anything.
Rosa, I had to make you a panelist in order to hear your question, but go ahead when you're ready.
Actually did that by mistake. I was copying down Brian's email just in case I had any future questions.
All right. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
All right. So there we go. Another question. This is a little outside of what we talked about today, but do you have any examples of non-traditional partnerships that you've seen that have helped to like co-promote food businesses?
I'm sure I have, but of course I can't think off the top of my head. Um, oh, actually, it was one. We had the Mid-Atlantic Fruit and Vegetable Conference last week,
Mhm.
and I was facilitating a session on CSAs. And Art King, who's in Western PA, has a CSA, and it was a rather intense training facility that this person ran, and invited them to come and offer. They offered CSA shares to her members, but then also when they set up on pickup day, if you weren't a member, they could also shop there. And they've been doing that for several years now, and said that has been really successful, which I thought was interesting. I hadn't seen a model like that.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Which makes sense. You know, it's a fitness
Yeah,
center and then wanting nutritious food.
yeah, yeah. I definitely don't think we have anything along those lines in Erie County or super close. Nothing that I've heard of. So
And then
that's very
also,
cool.
yeah, in the healthcare area, I'm sure, I'm sure you're aware of this, the like the nutrition prescription programs.
Mm-hmm.
And if anything, for at least in the Lehigh Valley where I am, St. Luke's has several programs at their hospital for their employees, and they partner with farms to provide CSA share, which comes right out of the employee's paycheck.
So just thinking of some non-traditional ways that either a market or some farmers could partner with local organizations to kind of have a almost guaranteed um, source of income. So perhaps reaching out to UPMC Hammett, Erie Insurance, some of our local larger corporations and large employers to offer a CSA that could be combined items from vendors at your market, doing like a CSA box
Hmm.
as like a package deal that would be available to employees. Um, Another thing that I've heard about elsewhere in Pennsylvania is doing a like an online ordering system for the market and having a market coordinator available to offer delivery to large employers. Um, Implementing little things like this can help make it a lot more worthwhile for vendors to attend. I know we've not so much this year, but in the past, some of our markets have struggled to entice vendors to expand to new markets because it is very time consuming for a farmer to attend a market.
Yeah,
So the more things that you can kind of build in to your market as services that you can offer to farmers, the more likely that it's going to be worthwhile for them and they'll keep coming back.
that's fantastic idea. I love that idea, because then it also plays the fact, and as you know, I work with farmers markets. I've been emphasizing this winter that hang on to that notion that you're an essential business, that we were deemed at the beginning of the pandemic.
Yes.
And to do the exact things that you're talking about, because we hopefully maybe created those relationships because we had to during the pandemic with particularly with municipalities that maybe outside of getting licensing, we haven't really built any kind of relationship, but now maybe hopefully we have, or we can,
Mm-hmm.
because that you're viewed differently as rather than something nice to have in our community. It's essential to have it for a number
Yes.
of reasons. So I love that idea.
One more question, Brian, is are you aware of any good trainings that you could recommend related to using social media? I feel that some of our local markets or local farmers might be interested in something like that. So if there's anything you could recommend.
I would say, if you can, I'm going to put it in the, oh, wait a minute, in the chat again. Also, our website, because I think if you keep an eye on that, if you sign up on the list, you can sign up for an extension course for what you want to receive in an email. And, and if it's things around that, we've been putting them together, how to improve your online presence and,
Excellent.
and there's also, like I said earlier, there's several articles that my colleague, I said, Sarah Cornelis has done.
Mm-hmm.
She does a lot of work on social media.
Excellent. Thank you.
I think it's farm business. Anyway, that should get you close anyway.
I do know that if you go to Penn State Extension website and just type in farm market, you get a ton of resources. So
Oh, good.
I'm sure that it's searchable. We did get one more question in the Q&A. This is from, I can't tell who it's from, so if I'm not getting this question quite right, please go ahead and type it again. But I think what they're asking is if you could only do one thing to promote your market, like for maximum impact, if you could only do one thing, what would it be?
If I could only do one thing, I would do Facebook.
Yeah.
And the reason being is there's so many groups now. I've seen people having success. You have to ask to join the groups, or just ask that. Are you finding groups that are doing centered around food? There's several folks who are doing looking for local food, and they form these Facebook groups.
Mm-hmm.
And in very specific areas. And if you search them out, then you can ask whoever manages that, hey, can I do one post that talks about our farm and maybe our CSA, that we're offering, whatever it is you're looking to promote. And then somebody did that with 30 groups.
Wow.
And then had a huge response because they were hitting a very specific audience, which is what you're trying to do with your marketing.
Right.
And those tools allow you to reach those people, I think, more than anything else you can do.
Great. Well, I hope that answered your question, but I think we are just about out of time here. So I just wanted to say thank you, Brian, for spending your lunch with us, and thank you to everyone who was able to attend. Brian shared his contact information in the chat, which we greatly appreciate. Like I said, he is a great resource, and so is the Penn State Extension office. The recording of this, it takes a little bit of time to download, and I will be sending it out to you all next week. Just a reminder, we do have another webinar coming up with Dan Dalton from PASA, and that will be next Wednesday, same time, same place. So thank you and have a great rest of your week, everyone.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yep, take care.